Today we're going to be talking about tactical knives, and we got Neil Curry from Ready Gunner.
You know, this knife does look cool, it does sound cool, and it probably gets all the ladies.
How's it going, guys, and welcome to Knife Banter. Today we're going to be talking about tactical knives, and we're going to be talking about tactical folding knives, tactical automatic knives, fixed blades knives, the whole 9 yards. So obviously I'm not a tactical expert, so I'm going to bring a little bit of knife expertise, and we got Neil Curry from Ready Gunner. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, man. And he is going to be bringing on some of the tactical expertise. We won't call you an expert. I know how that goes, right?
I'll do what I can.
Yeah, you never want to call anybody an expert. So if you guys don't know who Neil is, he is owner and operator of Ready Gunner here in Utah. It is the premier gun range, gun shop, everything you need for guns here in Utah. And he's got a laundry list of things here, so I actually had to write it down so I could remember. So he's got 5 years special operations experience with Ranger Battalion. He's got 2 years diplomatic security experience in Iraq with the Department of State. 10 years owner and operator of Ready Gunner, and then 5 kids. And he said the five kids have been the most tactical training experience you've gotten, I guess.
Yeah, all you dads out there, you know what I'm talking about.
There you
Your
go.
kids will get you trained up real quick.
So he's gonna help. Run us through these knives here. And at the end of this thing, guys, we have an epic giveaway. I promise you're gonna want to hold on till the end. So let's jump into the first one.
All right, let's do it.
All right, cool. So we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the granddaddy of tactical knives, and that's the USMC, the K-Bar USMC, right?
Yep.
Like he just doesn't. This is the knife, right? The
It's
tactical
an
knife.
infamous knife.
It is.
The name K-Bar has been around for decades. Anybody who's been in the military knows the name K-Bar. So
Yeah.
there's cadences about it and everything else. So yeah, it's a infamous knife.
For sure. And this has got a 1095 Crovan steel blade. This particular one's got kind of the more traditional classic leather wrapped handle. Now these knives launched in World War II. They were replacing kind of the trench knives at the time, because I guess the trench knives at the time were really thin, not very good. And so this was the knife that was designed to kind of replace them. And I would say that this K-Bar, I don't have the exact numbers, guys, but I would say this K-Bar has probably been the most deployed knife out there. Because the USMC fighter, the Navy had a version as well, maybe still has a version. Just a really, really popular knife all the way around. And using for digging trenches, prying stuff open, cutting stuff, self-defense, whatever you need. Mm-hmm. Now, and I asked Neil before we got rolling, I said, did you know anybody that carried any of these? And you never ran anybody that was carrying one, right?
I didn't personally, not in my unit anyway. Maybe there's some other guys in other units. It's just we were kind of picky and as to what we carried, and we kind of used things that were a little smaller.
Right. Yeah.
So
it was easier to carry around, a little more concealable.
Yeah, I mean it's a great knife. It's a little bigger, right? So anything that comes with size, and as far as the gun world, we talk about it all the time. It's concealed carry versus having a gun in my home or my car, things like that. So the same application goes with knives too. So it is something to be a little harder to conceal or carry. In the military, it's a little easier because you do have kit, and you can just put it on a piece of kit. Whether you have it on your kit up here, on your leg, or something like that. So. But even for me, I preferred something kind of a little bit smaller.
For sure.
So,
and this thing goes for like $74.95. So nice entry price knife as well.
Right.
Exactly. This was also something else we were talking about. Guys, I mentioned this knife's 1095 steel. A lot of you guys are like, I don't know about that. It's a low entry price. But you were saying with your experience, you weren't really picky about brand name or anything else with a knife. You were looking more at is it a folder? Does it fit the size?
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
So I mean, you asked me, what did you carry in the military, and I couldn't tell you because it's like I don't know. I had it was a little folder knife.
Yeah.
And it did everything I needed to do, whether I was at the range, cutting open boxes of ammo for shooting it that day, or something I needed to use in the field, or even self-defense, right? So every knife has an application, I would assume, where hey, this one's a little bit better for this one's a little bit better for this, and this one's a little bit better for this. But at the end of the day, you can use that knife for all three scenarios. It's just this one might be a little bit better for this specific scenario.
For sure.
So the knife I had, it was like a little 3-4 inch folding knife, and it worked great for everything I did. And the biggest thing for me was it was heavy duty. It didn't, it didn't break. It functioned. It lasted, and it was, did everything I needed.
Got the job done.
So, oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you'll see, guys, on the table. You're going to see knives. Certain knives you're going to know, and certain knives are just knives that get the job done. Yep. So kind of in both of those worlds, I'm going to reach over you. Kind of do with both of those worlds. We've got EMERSON RANGEMASTER. This is the SHEEPDOG spear point version. Now this one goes for about $216, so costs a couple more bucks. This is a 154 cm blade. As you guys know, with the Emerson Wave feature, this was actually something that Ernest Emerson designed. He had a couple of underwater welders come to him and say, hey, we need a knife. Here's the specification. We want it chisel grind. We want this guard here, all these things. And then it turns out a few years later, he learned that they were actually guys from SEAL Team 6 that were contracting to make these knives that they needed for the special deployments they were going on. Very, very hush-hush at the time, but now he's able to talk about it. So with the Emerson Rangemaster, you get a very, very grippy G10, get kind of your standard pocket clip there, and then just a really burly build. You were handling this one before, and you were saying you liked how grippy that handle was.
Yeah, so I do love the grip on it. Obviously, it is a little more grippy when you're out in the field and doing things. I mean, a lot of the time you're wearing gloves, so it is kind of irrelevant, but when you're not, your hands can get sweaty and things like that, and your hands can slip off, especially when you're using a knife. It's not something you typically want your hand to slip off of. You can cause some issues for you there, give you a bad day. But yeah, I like this knife. The functioning of it as far as opening up with that quick open was kind of nice too, but it is one of those things that, like a firearm, it takes a little bit of practice, right?
Yeah.
So everything has features, and if you don't know how to use those features or practice those features, then it really isn't relevant for you. So it is one of those things you have to train with, just like drawing a gun from the holster and getting on target and things like that. Pulling this out of your pocket and deploying that blade is one of those things you'd want to practice, build some muscle memory with. So for me, I like the size of this knife. This is kind of what I was talking about. It's typical to the knife I carried in the military, same size with the folding option, and it's something that I would look at carrying. So
yeah,
and the price wasn't bad either.
Yeah, it's not horrible. And the great thing with Emerson is these are just tried, true, and tested knives. Now, this particular one was designed by David Grossman. Let me know in the comments if I'm saying it wrong. But he was an airborne ranger, though. So
it's got to be a great knife.
It's got to be a good knife, right?
It's got to be really good.
It's a great knife from Emerson there. All right, so next up, going back to the fixed blade world and going back to kind of a little more price point knife. My papers are out of order. There we go. All right, is the Gerber StrongArm. So the Gerber StrongArm, again, it's just a 420 HC blade, just kind of a get-it-done blade. Full tang, rubber grip. Gerber's been making knives in the military since like 1968, so they've got the tradition there. A lot of guys I know carry Gerbers. We're going to look at one of their other really popular knives that they make as well, the 06 Auto, here in just a second. One thing that I really love about this knife first thing that I really love about this knife is this is actually made in the USA, which is great because Gerber kind of has a double production facility. Always a plus. And then the other thing I really love is that it's an ambi sheath. If you guys have been watching Knife Banter, I really love a good ambi sheath. So ambi sheath, US made, just solid knife all the way around. Now this one is a little bit smaller than the K-bar. You think this might be something you'd find on your kit?
I think over the K-bar, this is something I would use on my kit. I love kind of that rubber grip. Like you said, the tang, keep your hands from slipping off. You got the... You call this something you can hammer with, right? Or
yeah, you can hammer or glass breaker.
It's something I'd use as a glass breaker. For military use, especially, the glass breaker comes in handy because you do have to breach windows, breach vehicle windows, things like that. So there's an application there for sure. I like the size of the blade. It's not too big, but it's big enough to do all the things you need to do with it, right? And it is something I could easily attach to a piece of kit. Like I said, depending on where you want to put it, you got a lot of options. So, and it's fashionable. We always talk about like fit, fashion, and function, and this kind of fits all three of those. So it's a cool looking knife. It feels good. Same thing I instruct people when they come pick a firearm. It's like, look, it's got to feel good in your hands. If it doesn't feel good in your hands, you're probably not going to like it. You're probably not going to shoot well with it. So, I'd assume the same thing applies to a knife. And overall, I'm a big fan of this one here. And I don't know what the price is on this, but everything else is there for me.
Yeah, no, it comes in right at $70. So
and the price is right.
It's a great knife for that.
And the sheath too, where like you said, it's an ambi sheath. Obviously, you want to be able to deploy the knife quick, but also everyone thinks, well, I don't got to put it away quick, right? So, but that's not true. Like if you use your knife, you got to do something. You might have to put it away pretty quick to get your hands up on a gun or something else you might need to be doing. So, being able to put the knife away in the ambi sheath, there is an application there for it.
Yeah, for sure. Where I like the ambi sheath a lot is with experiences I've had is with diving. With dive knives, I like my dive because especially when you're diving, you usually aren't looking right where you're putting it, so you're just gonna get the knife put away every time. So great entry from Gerber there. All right, and then next up, safety's on. Next up is the...
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were just talking about the safety. Gerber 06 Auto. This one's also made in the United States. They're just in Portland, Oregon. S30V blade. And this thing for Gerber, this thing's been deployed all over the world. It's been tested in every single environment you could imagine. And it keeps coming back for more. If you guys haven't seen our video on the Gerber 06 Auto, go check it out. It's awesome. Some really great stories from the military in there. Now, you mentioned we had just talked about that safety.
Yeah.
And you were saying... kind of like you were saying with the fixed blade, you want to know your tool. You want to know how to use it. You want to know the way that it works, right?
Exactly. You can't just buy a knife and just be like, hey, I got a knife. It's a knife, and I'm, can do it. Especially if you're using it for self-defense. Just like a gun that has a safety on it. If your gun has a safety, they make it both with or without, then obviously you want to be able to train and build that muscle memory to draw that gun, take the safety off, and engage it as you need to, right? If your gun doesn't have a safety, then you don't have to worry about that, right? But then you got to be a little more careful. Hey, I have a loaded gun, doesn't have a safety, but I have it in my holster all the time, which has a trigger guard and protects it, right?
Right.
So it is one of those things, like you said. So if I pull this out and I go to hit, the release button and it doesn't go, well, guess what? I just lost a second or two there, and I'm like, crap, got to take the safety off and then deploy it, right?
Yep.
So it is one of those things you want to practice with, build muscle memory as you do any self-defense tool. It is nice, though, too, for those of you who are maybe scared of like, hey, I don't want to have it in my pocket. I actually hit the button or I sit on it and it deploys in my pocket, and then I stab myself in the leg. So there is a function there, and obviously that just comes down to user preference. Like, hey, I do like the safety feature, and it's easy for me just to remember to take it off and deploy it. But obviously when you guys are in stressful situations, sometimes even muscle memory is got to be very ingrained into you to remember things.
You got to lean into that muscle memory. Which isn't too bad, because for a lot of knife guys, when we get a new knife, we just play with it over and over and over and over again. So, right, it's, you probably have it.
and that's a beauty of a knife, right? You can't do this with the gun. Like, I can't sit at my gun and just, I could dry fire, right? That is a thing, but I can't just sit there and actually just shoot bullets into my wall.
Right, while you're sitting there watching TV, right?
But you can sit there, and do whatever you need to do and do work and just kind of go through the functions of, engaging, disengaging, things like that.
Build that muscle memory.
It is a little easier to kind of build the muscle memory with. I don't have to go to the range to use it. So.
Yeah, exactly, which is nice. So speaking of the range, some other stuff that Gerber offers is they have some really neat multi-tools. So this one in particular is the MP600. It's got a one-handed opening. As you guys could see there, just kind of slid it open. The one-handed opening, replaceable cutters on it, and then inside it's got a couple specific tools, like the front sight adjuster. I think it has a scraper for cleaning your gun, things like that. And I was asking if you guys did much field service, and you said most of the time no.
Not really. So most of the missions we did were night missions, right? We're just kind of in and out.
Yeah.
And typically back that same night, we're not doing a lot of overnighters, so it's just kind of a quick in and out kind of thing.
But you were saying on range days, you guys would go through like 10,000 rounds a day.
Back stateside, when they're like, hey, it's a range day, and a semi-truck full of ammo pulls up, and they're like, you got to use all this ammo before you guys get to go home at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes your gun starts to get gunked up, and you got your M4. Some of those days, we're putting our M4 full auto, and we're just doing mag dumps just to try to get rid of this ammo. Because in the military, if you don't use your allotted ammo, then you lose the allotment the next time around.
Okay,
so they always told us you got to run it all, otherwise your allotment's going to go down next time because you guys aren't using the ammo we allotted you.
Right.
So we're just trying to get rid of this stuff, and sometimes you're shooting 10,000 rounds in a day. Your bolt carrier group's going to get gunked up, and you're going to have to scrape some carbon off, throw it back in, and throw some oil and things like that. So that's kind of when that comes in handy.
Field service,
but even then, it's not something that, hey, I got to be in the field to clean my gun. Like, this is something I would use in my hooch overseas, because after every mission we'd come back, you'd have to get your guns all cleaned up again, pull it out, and then you can use it there as well. So. Or if you're sitting at home, I went to the range and shot some stuff, and I have 500 rounds through my gun, and now I'm going to go use it. So
it can be used just as a tool.
Absolutely,
for sure. And that's something great that Gerber offers, and they offer a couple different variations, a couple specific tools that you might find useful for cleaning a gun or telecommunications or anything like that. This particular one goes for $67.50 on the website. And then just to show you guys a couple other options that they have going, I'll show you my favorite, and then I'll show you a couple from Leatherman as well. So this little Gerber short stack, this thing is my favorite AR tool. Now, I'm not a firearms expert by any means, but I do shoot quite often. I enjoy it. I've got a couple guns, and I use this tool a lot in the field on my AR. The last AR I built I did it here. Ready Gunner's got a sweet area you can go and like build your own AR and all that stuff. It's super sweet. And I didn't get the gas tube quite tight, so went out, put a couple rounds through it, and I used this tool to break it down and tighten up that gas tube.
Don't feel too bad. It's pretty common.
Yeah, pretty common. Yeah. So this little short stack is a great tool to have on you.
It is pretty cool. I will say one more thing. I think that is designed to go into the grip. So if you guys are familiar with AR-15s, you have like the grip that has like the little, compartment in there. You can put that actually in your pistol grip on your AR-15 as well, which is kind of cool.
Oh, and that tool goes for about $44.95 on the website. And then, Leatherman makes the MUT. This is the military utility tool. Goes for $180, but it's got like military performance spec cap crimpers, so it's kind of like a demolitions multi-tool.
Something a civilian would probably never use unless you've been in like a master breezer course.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not dealing with deck cord and primers and things like that.
Yeah, we were talking about this before, and he's like, "This is a very specific tool," and they call it's a military tool, right? It's got a replaceable C4 punch. It's got a replaceable bronze carbon scraper. So this Leatherman MUT, it's the EOD Black Utility, is an awesome multi-tool if you're in these very specific areas doing work. And then finally, the Leatherman Raptor. This is a pretty neat EMT kind of first responder tool. And it's a foldable scissor. It's got a seatbelt cutter on it. Obviously, these incredible scissors, glass breaker, oxygen wrench, that whole thing.
That thing's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, for a lot of the EMTs out there, medics in the military, that's a pretty cool tool.
Yeah, exactly.
EMT shears come in handy for a lot of things. So having those extra functions on there are pretty neat as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm a big fan of multi-tools. I was telling you, I have literally one, I think, in every single one of my cars.
Yep.
Life jacket and my range bag. So it's a great thing to have.
Yeah, I'm the same. I bounce around multi-tools quite often. So, all right. The next up is the CRKT M16. And so again, when we're talking about just kind of affordable blades that get the job done, the M16, again, this is a hugely popular knife with guys that are active in the military. I've talked to a ton of guys that this is what they carry. Last year we worked on a fundraiser for Continue Mission. And the guy who runs Continue Mission, he carried an M16 the whole time that he was in the military. As knife guys, we look at this and it's got like an Oz 8 blade, which isn't a very high-end steel. It's only $48. And so a lot of knife guys are like, can't trust it. Yeah. But this is probably very similar to what you carried, I imagine.
Probably, and it all depends on what you're doing. Like I wasn't throwing mine in like car doors and trying to pry them open and things like that, So like for me, I knew the function of a knife and I knew what I could do with it and its capability, right? As far as the steels and things like that, that's not my expertise. Obviously, that's yours.
Yeah.
But I'll just look at a knife. For me, it's something that basically I almost will do a little bit of research on, look at the reviews and things like that, and then it's something you just got to learn to use, get comfortable with, and
put it to work.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice, just like anything else.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And this one in particular, guys, this one comes with the auto locks feature. I know this is kind of a divisive thing for a lot of people in the knife world. So what this does is this actually locks the liner lock in place so that you can't, let's see if I can get it on camera, here we go. So that you actually can't close the liner lock without disengaging this here back here. Yeah. So you can get where you can do it with one hand, but honestly, it's probably safer to do it two-handed to release it. So some guys like that, some guys don't. CRKT still makes it with the auto locks and they make it without. If you get one of these with an auto locks on, you can actually just take the knife apart, pull it off. You don't even have to have it if you don't like it. So let us know down in the comments if you guys like the auto locks. I was having a conversation with Ben about this before we shot this video, and he had opinions. So let us know down in the comments.
We all have opinions.
Yeah, we all got opinions. All right, so next up is the Spyderco AUTONOMY. Now this is a rare knife from Spyderco because it is an automatic, and I'll actually go ahead and hit that again. There we go.
Hear the force behind that?
Yeah, right. This thing is burly, man. It's not playing any games. So this comes with G10 scales, really open construction because it's meant to be used in the water. Huge firing button meant to be used with gloves, also in the water, and then that wonderful Spyderco H1 steel. If you guys haven't seen our salt video, make sure to check it out. H1 steel is incredible. Basically, it never rusts. That's the short end of the stick. And this was actually designed for the Coast Guard. Specifically. So this was designed for guys in the Coast Guard to use on duty doing things that they do. Now, you have some experience in the water as well, right?
A little bit. So, family business growing up was whitewater rafting. So my dad owned a whitewater rafting business. I was a guide for 15 years on the Colorado Grand Canyon Green. South America and various other countries, going around running rivers. So my first knife, I don't know the name of it, was a Spyderco like banana yellow knife, which I thought was the coolest thing in the world. And I had this bright yellow knife on my jacket. I thought it was so cool. But despite the fashion of the knife, the function was great. I mean, I used it 90% of the time to cut rope, right? Worked as a deckhand on scuba diving boats as well in Hawaii and Catalina. Used the same Spyderco knife. I had it for years. And as far as cutting rope, that serrated edge would cut through rope like butter.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it was great for that. Not so great for sharpening when it became dull. I don't know if there's some special tool for sharpening serrated blades, but that was kind of where it became a pain in the butt, because obviously it doesn't stay sharp for forever. Yeah. And having it for 10 years, it got kind of dull.
Got a little dull.
But yeah, it was a great knife and one of the first knives I ever owned. So it was great for that application.
Cool. So great experience out there doing that as well. And this knife goes for $234, which is a little spendy. But I mean, you felt how that auto hit. This thing is meant to work, man.
It's a pretty heavy duty knife.
It is.
Well.
It's got a heavy duty knife. A little weight to it. For sure. And I've got buddies in other branches of the military, and sometimes I hear them joking around about the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
But have you seen the video of the guy jumping on that submarine, the NARC submarine?
Yeah. I mean, people tease other units in the military.
Yeah. Right? It's like a common thing, right?
Yeah, but every unit, like the Air Force, for example, Coast Guard falls in the same category. The Air Force probably gets more crap than any other unit. Like, oh, you're in the Air Force, the Chair Force, whatever, right?
Right.
The Air Force actually has one of the most badass units in the military, in my opinion. So the pararescue, the PJ guys, JTAC guys, those guys are some of the most hardcore guys I've ever met.
Right.
So
yeah.
And they're in the Air Force.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just a specialized unit in the Air Force, as the Coast Guard has specialized units too.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
It's not a blanket statement. We're like, oh, Coast Guard, Air Force. There's some badass guys here, and I probably wouldn't make fun of them to their face.
Totally. Yeah, this is a common thing I see with military guys, is they'll razz each other in the different units, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we tease each other all the time.
Oh yeah. All right. So next up is the Spyderco YOJIMBO 2. Now this is a Michael Janich design, and this knife is designed specifically for self-defense, just straight on pure self-defense. It's got the Wharncliffe style blade on it, which definitely can be used for utility as well. It's an S30V blade, G10 handles. It's got the compression backlock on it, and the design for this was actually, he teaches these courses. Martial Blade Concepts is the name of it. And I was lucky enough to go take one of these courses. Adam Boyce, you can check him out on Instagram. It's at Spartan Mode on Instagram. Super great dude, and it was a really eye-opening course on knife defense in general. And this whole design, the whole knife design, everything is about knife defense. Did you have much experience with training in knife defense or anything a little
bit? So there's some knife courses that you take. One of the things I liked about the Ranger unit was they always signed us up for all these courses. We had like jiu-jitsu courses, knife courses, EMT courses, and everything else. The knife courses is one of the ones I was lucky enough to take, and I enjoyed it. And there's a lot to it that you don't even think about.
There is
how you hold the knife. Hold it like this, hold it like this. I mean, there's all kinds of ways, and as far as angles, and it's just a lot of, I don't know any civilian courses. I'm sure there's a bunch out there, but if you guys are going to use a knife and carry a knife just as you would a gun, I always recommend people you take training for it, right? It's not something you want to pull out and just start slashing away. So there's a lot that goes to it, and it's actually pretty cool and unique what you learn in those classes. So
and obviously I don't know what you guys were going through in your courses, but it was actually, so I'm a boxer, and the way that you hold the knife in knife self-defense is actually counterintuitive to the way you actually hold it opposite the way that you would box.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. So yeah, definitely, if you have a chance to take a course, check out Martial Blade Concepts. They do a great job.
It's actually a pretty fashionable knife look too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool looking knife too.
You might use it in a self-defense situation, pull it out, and the guy who you're about to get in a fight with might be like, "That's a pretty cool knife," and you start a conversation and de-escalate.
Just become buddies. This is a de-escalation knife.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you guys heard it here first. This is a de-escalation knife.
But be ready to.
But be ready. Yeah, always be ready. And then kind of cool with that knife, or with a handful of tactical knives you guys will see on the table today, you can get a trainer for that as well. So if you go take one of the courses, or if you get the DVDs, or if you find a course local to you, whatever it is, you can get a trainer blade as well, so that you can actually train what you're...
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah. And like I said, a couple of the knives on the table you can get trainer blades for. And that YOJIMBO 2 goes for $140 on the website, and the trainer also goes for $140 on the website. All right, so now we're going to jump into Microtech, and we are going to be looking at the SOCOM Elite. So this is the Microtech SOCOM Elite. You got the Bowler M390 blade there, and then I'm actually forgetting, it's an aluminum handle material, but it's got this texturization done in here that helps you get a really good grip and kind of molds to your hand when you're using it. Yeah, and then this one also comes with a glass breaker on the end as well. So kind of just a great knife, exactly what you would expect from Microtech. It hits real hard. This is a bigger knife, and honestly, if you're not holding onto it, this thing could jump out of your hand. I mean, it fires, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a little spring to it.
A little bit of spring to it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of having texture on the knife too, because when you're using these things, sometimes when you're cutting or pushing or whatever it is with it, it requires a little bit of force, right? So you don't want your hand coming off that blade. Yeah,
exactly. And that's something that with this SOCOM Elite you get you get in spades. It's just great texture. And that thing goes for $309 on the website. And then if you live in an area where you can't have an automatic, it also comes in a manual version as well. So you can pick up a manual version as well. All the exact same specs, just manual. And it also comes in a bunch of different flavors. So if you want a certain color, you want a certain blade, anything like that, check out the website. We got all sorts of options.
So here's a question for you. Now you brought that up. Is there places like states? I know the OTF knives that are regulated in some places is the
automatic.
Those fall under the same OTF category.
Oh yeah, yeah. So all automatic knives. So OTFs and side openers, any sort of auto knife. Gravity knives, which are knives that kind of just open by sliding open that way.
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. So a lot of restrictions. And then if you get into Europe, there's even more restrictions out there. So make sure you guys know your local laws. But it's similar in the gun world, right? I mean, there's restrictions on suppressors and there's restrictions on magazines,
like magazine capacity,
like
round capacity,
exactly.
Safety features, the weight on your trigger. Even like Massachusetts has like your trigger has to be a certain weight.
I didn't know about
that. It can't be a
one.
light trigger, things like that. So
crazy. So restrictions everywhere. Yeah. All right, next up, guys, we've got the BOKER Strike. This is in the Desert Warrior color pattern. You guys know you love that Desert Warrior color pattern. This is just a simple Oz 8 blade, aluminum handles, and this thing goes for $42.95 on the website. And this thing falls right back into that kind of serviceable, workable blade. We did a video on the Kalashnikov recently, and the Strike is very, very similar to Kalashnikov. So if you want to see what type of abuse these things can take, go watch the Kalashnikov video. It'll teach you a lot about this. But hits really hard, super beefy, nice thicker stock, and nice deep carry pocket clip as well. And I think it's a two-way reversible deep carry pocket clip on that. Now you were talking about liking the look of certain knives. How do you like the look of that one?
Yeah, so Ranger School. I went to Ranger School. I remember this. One of my RIs told me, so Ranger instructors told me that he's like, hey, there's three things you need to remember here in Ranger School. And he's being facetious, obviously, but there is some truth to this. He's like, number one thing is you need to know where you're at on the map at all times, right? So don't get lost. Know where you're at on the map. If the RI comes up to you and says, hey, private, where you at? You got to be able to point on the map and tell him where you're at. Number two, make sure you look good. Don't have your shirt untucked, your hanging out, boots untied, things like that. Make sure your gear is in order. And number three, if you don't know where you are on the map, at least make sure you look good. So,
that's great.
Fashion does play a role into things. Not so much the aesthetic value of it, but there is some functionality to function, if that makes sense.
Totally,
right?
Yeah.
So the clip and things like that. Obviously, the group here. And obviously the colors, if you guys have a favorite color or things like that, hey, maybe it'll build confidence in you using it. So
right.
there is some truth to that.
For sure. I'm into motorcycles, and I see guys will build motorcycles sometimes, and sometimes the build comes out real ugly, and the guy never rides that motorcycle. So if you got something you like the way it looks, you're more likely to use it.
You're like, man, I got to defend myself right now, but I'm kind of embarrassed to pull my knife out. So
yeah, right.
just beat me up.
Yeah. All right, so we've got the Cold Steel. This is the Safe Maker 2. This is a push dagger, $31.95 on the website, and this is full on just the business end of self-protection. This is all it's designed for. Sure, you could use it as a utility blade. You can get in here and you could cut stuff with it. But at the end of the day, this is, I know for a lot of police officers, I've heard some guys in the military as well, they'll carry this on their offhand, and so that they can pull it if somebody was trying to get a hold of their gun or anything like that and be able to defend themselves. So yeah, just business end of the knife.
Yeah, a lot of these knives have multiple applications. That one right there is just kind of ruined somebody's day.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, they're trying to ruin your day. I guess that's where you go, right? So $31.95 on the website for that, and it's a great backup blade if you are primarily carrying a firearm or something like that. A great style for backup blade. All right, next up we have the Protech TR3. This is the SWAT edition. This thing goes for about $180 on the website. You got 154 cm blade, aluminum handles, made in the USA, amazing warranty. You guys know how much we love Protech. They do a great job. And I don't know if you ever fired a Protech before, but you got to feel that thing. There's just something different about them. It just feels
smooth.
It's smooth, you know? Like the other ones on the table, they've been good, but man, those Protechs are just smooth.
Yeah, that's a clean knife.
Yeah, it's a great knife. And, this is a knife that we see a lot of police officers carry. Dave from Protech has some great stories of guys in the military carrying these as well. So super great knife, and not one that's going to gum up on you or anything like that. And then, like I said, $179.95 on the website for that one, guys. All right, next up is one that I snuck in. Like I said, I'm not a tactical expert by any means, but I've fallen in love with this knife, and I think it's got some good applications. So I'm interested to see what you think about it. So this is the Benchmade OUTLAST, and obviously I had to ruin the open on it when I build it up so much, right? So the Benchmade OUTLAST goes for about $255 on the website. Now, the cool thing about this knife, and I've been carrying this knife a ton, I've just been loving it, is that it has two blades. So the primary blade is S30V, just regular plain edge blade. And then you close it with the access lock, and then on the same access lock, you've got a secondary blade, which is a 3V blade, full serration with a pry tip on the end of it. And then on top of that, this knife's just got all sorts of fun stuff about it. It's got a seatbelt cutter built in, and then it also has a glass breaker built in as well, and then nice deep carry pocket clip so it disappears in your pocket. So obviously this would make a really great like first responder knife. But you were mentioning earlier when you were carrying that Spyderco, that full serration was kind of a problem because you didn't have a plain edge as well.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So I don't know. What do you think about something like that?
I like it. I mean, obviously a lot of different applications you can use this for here, which I like. Cause it's kind of like a 3 knives in one type thing.
Yeah, it is.
And actually it's not as heavy as you would
think. It's big, but it's not a brick, right? Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, this would be good for something like a go bag or something like that, you know. Obviously somewhere you'd be cutting rope or you'd be carving maybe like a bow and drill to start a fire or sticks or whatever it is you need to do for, you know, survival situations. So it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a fun one. That's actually what I'm carrying.
Grip too.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm carrying today, and I'll show you guys that pry tip gets a lot of use. Yeah. I tend to beat my knives up quite a bit. So
that's what they're for.
Yeah, I like this one because it wants to go to work.
What's the price on that guy?
$255 on that one. Yeah. So definitely a little more of a premium blade, but you get some high-end steels, things like that. All right. So next up from Benchmade is the INFIDEL OTF. Now this one is the Blade HQ exclusive in the green that we have here. You get a deep carry pocket clip. You guys remember from one of the knife banners we did, it has podium jimping. So that's the type of jimping you get on the firing button. And then also it's got an S30V blade. Now, what's interesting about this is I contacted Benchmade and I just kind of talked to them about some of the knives, some of their most common knives that get deployed, things like that. And they said the INFIDEL by far is one that's deployed a lot. And you said you didn't see a lot of OTFs. They weren't as popular when you were.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when OTS became popular. I was in, this is 2004 through 2009. So I don't know what the popularity or what the history of these knives are, but I didn't see them a lot. No.
Yeah, totally. And we were kind of talking about it before, guys. We've talked about OTFs as tactical knives. We talked about OTFs as self-defense knives, things of that nature. And specifically with the INFIDEL, that's kind of what it's designed around is self-defense. But you were saying that it seems like it has more mechanism, more movement, maybe potential for more failure. Yeah,
for me, I mean, it's a great knife. I could do this all day. I could sit at my desk and just do this. But having said that too, like and I don't know if these come with hey, this can be deployed, 5,000 times before you start having issues. I don't know the function of it, but for me, it seems like something, that has more ability to have some kind of, malfunction.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
So more moving parts, something that's, maybe I go to do this when I need it in a sticky situation and maybe it doesn't deploy or half deploys or something like that. But again, that's just me from like an uneducated.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you know, this knife does look cool. It does sound cool, and it probably gets all the ladies. And
so it's a chick magnet knife. Is what
it
you're saying?
is a chick magnet knife, and I can sit at my desk constantly and just kind of work on my laptop and just do this. So
Nice.
The deployability to obviously be able to do that and deploy the knife pretty quick. There's a ton of value there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I just again don't know what the function of this would be as far as durability.
For sure.
So
let us know down in the comments, guys. So you know, a lot of us have experience with OTFs. I personally have a couple OTFs. Never had any failure problems myself. But let us know if you guys have any like in-field experience with the Infidel or with an Ultratech or anything like that. I'd love to know down in the comments.
I'd be curious too.
Yeah. So yeah, just because I just don't have experience with it. So
Yeah.
let us know. And that goes for $437.75 on the website. All right. So next up is this is actually a mutual friend of ours. Next up is Hogue knives. So we've got the Hogue EX-A01. Hogue makes a bunch of incredible knives. I just grabbed this one to kind of show you guys this one in particular. But as you can tell, super beefy build and design. This is an Allen Lischewitz design. You get 154 cm blade, really snappy action, all made in the USA, incredible warranty. I mean, everything you would expect from Hogue, all in one knife, which is great. And they make a ton of different versions, ton of different blade styles, colors, fits, finish, you name it, they've got it. So big fan of these. And then something cool that Hogue does, still on tactical end, but also on the cool end, is that they have these SIG variations as well. And you actually, downstairs, you actually had the matching SIG for this, right?
I did. I mean, if you're going to buy a cool looking gun, you might as well get a cool looking knife to go with it.
There you go, right?
This is the SIG 1911 Emperor Scorpion, and this is the matching knife to go with it. So Hogue, one of the things they've done is they've kind of matched up a few of their knives to some of the SIG finishes, like the Legion and things like that, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah.
It's been popular among the gun community too to get the matching knife to go with the gun. So, and I have a couple of the Hogues too. I love them. I've beat the crap out of those things and haven't had issues with them. So
yeah, same.
As far as my experience with knives, you know, like I said, I'm kind of rough on my knives, as I'm sure you are as well.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to make sure they work. At the end of the day, I just want my knife to work, not malfunction or break or things like that.
I want it to work every time, no matter what. And same thing, I carry a micro switch around, which is kind of their smaller version. And I put that thing through the ringer and just keeps coming back for more. So Hogues are great knives, and they work with a lot of military. They work with a lot of police. So it's tried and proven knives. And the regular A01 goes for $212, and that Emperor Scorpion version goes for $229. All right, coming up here on the end, guys, sweet giveaway in just a minute. So one of our last knives we have on the table is the Tops knives. This is the Cut 4.0. This was designed by Joshua Swanigan. I always say it wrong, Swanigan. Sorry, dude. Joshua Swanigan. This is a 1095 blade with that awesome Tops micarta handle. This has got the karambit ring to it. Now, karambits generally are designed as primarily a self-defense knife. But this one was designed with both self-defense and utility in mind. And then it comes with a really nice Kydex sheath that you can carry scout carry, or you can change up the sheath and carry it any way you like. Put it on your kit or your gear or whatever you got going. So I say kind of an eye in that one. Have you? It's
cool. I mean, it's a great looking knife. You mind if I take it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. You know, this. I mean, again, I don't know about the durability or the quality of the steel, but it looks great. I like the grip on it. And it's just a good feeling knife. Again, like I said, coming down to a knife that has a great grip, that feels good in your hands. And we all have different size mitts, right? Yep. So for me and my big gorilla hands, this is actually a good feeling knife, and it's something that I feel like I could work with and not have my hands slip off or things like that. It's a nice knife.
Yeah, Tops makes a really great knife. And I actually chose this one because this is one of your guys' favorites. But to be honest, if you're looking for a tactical fixed blade, Tops makes incredible knives. So check out the website because they've got just a ton of amazing tactical fixed blades you can choose from. And that Cut 4.0 goes for $110 on the website. All right, last knife on the table. We can't talk about tactical knives without talking about zero tolerance. So we got a ZT0562. This is the Thai version. This comes with a CPM 20CV blade, so really, really great blade. Never gonna let you down. Titanium handles, nice deep carry pocket clip, and then it's a Hinder design. So you know that it's built well and it's built with use in mind because Rick Hinder is famous for hard use knives. Now, zero tolerance was originally founded to help out the military and stuff. That's actually where they came from. Ken Onion was one of the founders for it, and they started specifically to make hard use knives for military and for police officers, and that's what we get here. Now this one in particular, it's got a titanium handle. I'm personally not a huge fan of that.
You get the more slick surface.
Yeah, it's a little more of a slick surface. And a lot of the ZT knives actually come in a titanium or carbon fiber, which is a little more of a slick surface. So let us know, guys, if you guys are using a titanium or carbon ZT out there for more tactical applications. I'd love to hear how that goes. I think it's just a preference of mine. I don't think it's a shortcoming, it's just my preference.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, it's like you use this, your hands are sweaty, you don't have gloves, your hands can slide off of this. I don't know how this is in cold weather. You know, it probably gets pretty cold, I bet. But overall, the fashion's there.
Yeah, the fashion's there. Well, and it's a beefy blade too. I mean, this thing, again, Rick Hinderer, he's famous for just really beefy overbuilt designs. So you can take this thing out and just beat it to death and it'll just ask for more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that goes for $280 on the website, guys. Beauty. All right. Man, that was a lot of knives.
It was a lot of military. I've noticed there's a lot of military applications here. A lot of guys making knives for the military, design for the militaries. Probably there's a lot of feedback from the military on the build for these things.
Yeah, a lot of the designs that we see on the table came from direct feedback from the military.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, those guys are out every day just kind of doing the things that require these kind of tools, right? And it doesn't mean that there's no civilian application for it. But obviously you want to be ready for anything. Even though you're not going down and kicking down doors every night, it doesn't. You never know when is going to hit the fan for you guys here, stateside. So
yeah.
Knives for me, we did a video on this a long time ago where, what are the top things you need in a go bag? And knives is probably 1 to 2 on top of the list. Like for me, it's number 1.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one thing to be stranded in the desert with or in the woods with, wherever it is, it's a knife. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it. There's a lot of applications for it, and it can be used for, creating other tools and creating warmth, creating shelter, hunting with. So it's a great, great tool.
Yeah, for me, I see knives as a primary tool in any kit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, well, we're at the end, guys. So as promised, it's time for an epic giveaway. And Neil was digging on this strong arm here. So I think we need to have a strong arm. I really like Hogue. I think we need a Hogue.
Oh, we're just picking stuff.
Yeah, we're just picking stuff. We're just picking stuff. And you know what? Because you also said you liked it, and I actually really like it, we got this the Gerber AR tool as well.
Great.
So what we guys here is we've got the Gerber strong arm that we're going to be giving away. We've got the Hogue EX-A01 that we're being given away, and then we've got the Gerber AR tool that we're going to be giving away. We're going to be giving away there on Instagram is where this is going to be happening. Now, you said at the beginning that Ready Gunner wanted to jump in on this as well.
Yeah, we'd love to just throw in something for you guys. We'll give you a $250 gift certificate to the website to buy basically anything. So you can apply that to a gun, you can apply that to our AR-15 monthly subscription plan, or any of the many other things we sell on the website, clothing, apparel, gear, accessories, upgrades for AR-15, things like that. So,
wow.
Yep.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Now I want to win. All right, guys. So this is a big, big giveaway. So what you need to do is head over to Instagram @BladeHQ on Instagram, and we'll have all of the giveaway details there. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.